I'm Ryan Erickson, and this is Project Syncro. So rather than get a cup with the proper ratio graduations on it, I just decided to use a scale since the density of the epoxy activator and the epoxy primer are basically the same, so I can do them by weight. So I kind of just eyeball how much paint I think I'm going to need, and then measure out a certain amount of activator, note that weight, and since it's 4:1, I just multiply that out and then tear the scale and then measure out, 4 times as much paint. So kind of a lazy way to do it. I don't know how people actually do it, but it seems to make sense to me. And it's pretty easy, so I'll stick with that. So the main reason we flipped the car on its side and built a paint booth around it was so that I could prime and paint the bottom. After I'd finished doing that, I was planning on flipping it back over, putting it on the cart, and doing every other surface, since the bottom was really the only one that I would need to reorient the car for. Once I had it on its side and I had primed the bottom, I kind of did a little walk around of the car and realized that there were a couple of areas that would lend themselves to be primed and painted while the car was still on its side. The roof was actually fairly accessible as it was, so I decided to go ahead and prime and paint both the top, so the outside, and the interior of the roof. Priming the outside and the inside of the roof both presented different challenges. The top obviously is a very smooth surface, so I had to be really careful to avoid any banding or any runs or blotchiness. I had to pay really close attention to gun distance away from the surface. So I had to be really tedious about that and stand back every once in a while and look at it from a distance and see what the pattern looked like. I've never done this before, so I was a little bit deceived when I first started spraying that the surfaces that had just recently been sprayed looked way too heavy, and the surfaces that had maybe been drying for about 20 minutes looked too light and almost exactly like the metal I had been painting over. So what it ended up being is that I thought I was in worse shape than I actually was. And once I finished about 3 fairly medium to heavy coats on the top, changing direction each time, it actually looked really good. There was only one little spot at the back where it even remotely looked like it was going to run, but it didn't. I don't even think I'll bother sanding it because it looks that good. I was really impressed with that. Painting the inside of the roof, however, was a huge pain. Naturally, on any other road car, that's a fairly smooth surface too, and you don't have anything to worry about. But when you're doing a race car, you've got a roll cage to worry about. So just as it was a pain to maneuver around the car when I was installing the roll cage, it was even worse painting in there with that big bulky gun when it's turned on its side and trying to maintain a fair distance away from the roof. So again, same with that, is I thought I would have a bunch of problems with running because I kept not really running the gun into the roll cage per se, but as I was doing a certain section of the roof, I would have to pull the gun back to reorient and be far enough away to continue my sweep and get primer on the roll cage bar itself. So it's a little not super consistent, but again, it's the top of the inside of the car, and I won't really see that much. Another issue I had in the back, where the headliner had adhered, there was some foam type of stuff that was stuck in there really, really bad. What I should have done, I made the mistake of priming the top of the roof before I wire wheeled off all of that garbage on the inside. So I kind of had to punt on that because I didn't want to get the wire wheel in there and then risk burning up the primer that was on the other side of the roof. So what I ended up doing is just taking some paint thinner and some of that cleaner that I usually use, throwed it on a couple rags, getting that junk all good and soaked, and actually just wire brushing in circles to loosen everything up, then taking a razor blade and kind of clearing it off. So really what you'll see in there is some kind of ripply surface up, but again, it's in the part of the car that you look at almost even less than the bottom of the car. So I'm not super worried, and the only way anyone's going to know about it is because I just told you. So again, I'm pretty pleased with how the roof, both inside and out, came out, and I'm looking forward to going on to mix some top coat up and start spraying that.